Well, I just like to say, I think I can use my gym voice, but good morning to everyone. And I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day. I know that we have finals going on and faculty staff are busy with grading finals. And we just appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to help us welcome our new head men's basketball coach, Sam Kohnke. And we're excited to have him here. And we're ready to start this next chapter of Langston University basketball. So we're excited here. Can you guys give them a big round of applause? And so at this time, I would like Dr. Jackson just to say a few words about this process and about Coach finally being here on campus.
Thank you, AD. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are excited to be here, as AD mentioned. This has been quite the process. One of the things that we knew for sure was that Langston University's men's basketball program is an elite national program. And when you have that as your starting point, it makes the search process look completely different. And so one of the things that we know is that the work, the efforts of Coach Wright, the staff, and most importantly, our student athletes has placed Langston University's men's program in a league of its own. There was great interest in this position as a result of the work that went into our program. But we were very clear that there were a few criteria that we were looking for. Number one, we're looking for someone who understands the mission, the role, and the place that Langston University has in this state, in this country. Second of all, we were looking for a proven winner, someone who had a demonstrated record of success. And for us, success meant national tournament participation. We spent some time with our men who are members of the basketball team, and we wanted to know what's important to them. And the things that came out were discipline, structure, development of young men, among others. We know that as an institution, small college athletics is not something that's funded highly, but we certainly have an institutional commitment. And so we knew that we needed someone who had a demonstrated record of building friends and raising funds to also support the program. And so as you look at each of those criteria, the pool of candidates gets smaller and smaller. But we were steadfast in what we wanted to see in the next coach of Langston University's men's basketball. And we talked to some really great coaches. We talked to some really great people. And we were fortunate that Coach Kohnke was among that list. Someone who, in addition to all of those criteria, demonstrated a respect for Langston University and the program. And I'm sure you've read a little bit about him. You know a little bit about where he's come from. He gained that respect firsthand on the other side of the court. And so we're really happy to have Coach Kohnke join us at Langston University and excited about where the next level of our program will go.
Yeah, so I just, obviously would like to introduce myself, Sam Kohnke, new men's basketball coach. But before I kind of get started on my spiel and kind of about me and my vision, I just want to take the time to give some thank yous, because obviously it takes a village and everything's about relationships. And, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Dr. Jackson and AD Rogers for their incredible leadership and helping the Langston program get to where it is today. and just making this a place where it's a no-brainer for me where I want to be. So thank you to y'all too, just for y'all's support and leadership and belief in me. Very appreciative for that. Would like to thank my staff, my current staff, and then just the staff members who have been a part of my journey to help get me here as well. A lot of really good people that have been there. And then all of my current and former players as well. The current guys, I appreciate, a lot of y'all are here, and I appreciate y'all coming out and supporting. And then, like I said, it's all about relationships. And the guys that I've coached since my first year to now, everyone has a special place in my heart. And I have a very deep, meaningful relationship. So thank you to them, all the former players as well. Would love to thank Coach Wright. I think Coach Wright is about as special of a guy as there is. What he did to this program, where he got this program, is spectacular, and it's something that I appreciate a lot. And I saw his wife, Allie, here. Thank you, Allie, for coming. And, just a terrific guy, terrific family. So appreciative of him. And it's my job to honor what he built and to keep it going in the right direction. And then, lastly, I just want to thank all of you, Langston community for showing up. We got a pretty full atrium here. And, we had a meet and greet last night, which we had a fantastic turnout. And just, really that's what drew me to this job. A lot of great things, but I'd say the biggest thing for me is just the overall support and family community feel. When we come play in CF Gales Fieldhouse, like that is a home court advantage, and it's a home court advantage because of the people. They get loud, you'll get excited. So that's just something that I just want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a family. I want to be part of a community that embraces their own. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into this program, and I want people who are going to do the same. And I think that's where beautiful families, beautiful communities, beautiful teams are built is because of the people and the support. So just very appreciative of everyone. Again, a lot of people I could go, but I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time today. But, just a little bit about me. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised. Went to college at Loyola, New Orleans, then finished at Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi. And then, I immediately after college started coaching and was at Central Baptist College for 4 years in Conway, Arkansas. Actually, fun fact, Coach Wright was there for a year, about 4 years before I got there. And so he kind of built that foundation at CBC. And then, Clint Gallion took over, and he did a great job continuing it. And then I took over and just kept going. So hopefully having some experience for taking over some Coach Wright started programs, hopefully I know what I'm doing here. And then was at CBC for 4 years, in my last 2 years, won back-to-back championships. Then was at Oklahoma City University last year and won the Sooner Athletic Conference tournament last year. And then, when AD and President called me and said, hey, we're interested in you, I thought, wow, this is a no-brainer if I can get it. So, prayed on it a lot and just very fortunate that they believed in me and offered the job, and I accepted on the spot because, again, this is where I wanted to be. So, just extremely excited to be here. I think excited is an understatement if I'm being honest. I'm going to pour my heart and soul into these guys. I'm going to love them hard. I'm going to coach them hard. I'm going to discipline them hard. And just, this team, this program is my baby, and I'm going to see it as well, run it as well as I can, and pour everything I have into it. We're going to play. We're going to have a lot of the same core principles that have had, I think, helped get, Langston achieve success so far in terms of, a huge emphasis on defensive rebounding first. To me, that's what wins games. That's what travels. And then I think from an offensive perspective, hopefully having our defense create some offense and playing a fun brand of basketball that's up-tempo, that the crowd can get into, and just kind of feeding off the crowd, and then the crowd, fuels us, and it's a beautiful kind of snowball effect, hopefully. So beyond excited, I can't wait to personally, really get to know everyone in this room and beyond, and hopefully keep building this thing. And obviously it's big shoes to fill. Langston in the last 4 years has been probably the best or top 2 NAI programs in the nation. So big shoes to fill, but at the end of the day, that's what I signed up for. That's what I'm excited for. I'm not going to shy away from it. I want to go win a national championship here. And I think it absolutely can be done with the leadership. And, I think there's top-down alignment. And so, now we got to go do it. So all you players out there, just know, hey, we can do it. We got to go outwork everyone. We got to go out-tough everyone. We got to go outsmart everyone. But we can do it. And I know y'all been close the last 4 years. Twice y'all been really close. And so now it's about just getting over the top, getting the job done. So just incredibly excited and blessed for this opportunity. And L's up. Let's go.
Coach, what attracted you to pursue this job? You talked a little bit about it. Can you talk a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I just think, I'm a big believer that it takes a village. Like, a coach and a staff can do a lot and impact a lot. But at the end of the day, when the entire community, entire administration, entire campus is involved in that and invested in it, I just think that's what puts teams over the top, and that's the separator between good teams and great teams. And so just the support, the community feel, again, that gym in there, that's one of the loudest gyms I've ever been in my life this year when we played them. So the thought of having that for every single game is just pretty exciting to me. And again, just a place where, there's an expectation to win and not just an expectation, but an investment to win as well. So to me, it was just an absolute no-brainer of opportunity. And when I got it, I jumped on it.
I have a question for AD. Out of all the coaches that applied for the position, what made Coach Kohnke stand out?
Yeah. So I would really thanks for that question. I'd really like to emphasize, I would say in the last 4 years, really since Coach Wright's hired, we've kind of gone to a system that allows us as administrators to be much more objective about each hire. And there's a set of, if you want to say a rubric, we call it our scorecard. And we're looking for the coach, no matter where they are, what level, that we feel like can meet, has a 90% chance or higher of meeting all those expectations on the rubric. Some of that is the first one, win a conference championship. All right, we all know how difficult play is in the Senior Athletic Conference. We're usually going to have at least 5 teams that qualify or make it to the national tournament. It's a difficult conference to compete in. Another one is win a national championship. Another one is raise $25,000 at a minimum for your program. A minimum graduation rate of 80%. I want all of them to graduate, but at a minimum. Increase overall marketing and branding. All right, so those are the crux of the objectives that we're looking at. So I think that it's important that people realize that we're looking for the coach that has a 90% chance of doing all of those and doesn't shy away. So a lot of coaches will tell you, I feel pretty good about this position, this job. I feel like in 2 years, I'll be able to recruit and have my team or whatever. So those things kind of are a negative for me. I'm looking for those people that are going to say, I feel like we can do it this year. He never was nervous about answering any of the questions, and we go back on them, we ask them different ways. Never was nervous, and I feel like he just really jumped on it. He made me feel confident on, I don't feel like I have to wait. I feel like I can do it this year. And he meant it. There wasn't saying something just to get the job or saying something to make me feel better. I could tell he genuinely meant it. Then he would go circle around and talk about what his strategies was, how important the current returning team members were at Langston, how important the current players that he had on his team were to his strategy for next year. And then he just had to add and go and find a few more recruits. And the biggest thing now is working on gelling those players and also, establishing his culture here. He's already met, I feel like, one of the most important pieces, one of the most awesome things about coaching here at Langston is the community and Lion Nation. And I felt like he's already fallen in love with Lion Nation. He's got a great set of players to work from. And I truly believe that we will have an opportunity to be playing the last Tuesday in March.
Coach Kohnke, this question for you. New Orleans, then to Jackson, Mississippi, and this is your 8th year coaching. Last year at your former program, you went 21-11, 15-7 in conference, and your home record was 13-3, which is all this is impressive. You only have your loss streak is 1, so that's impressive to me because that means after your loss, you never lost 2 games in a row, and so I just want to say that we're in a unique position right now because you have a scout's perspective on the team because you spent hours like poring over, footage and everything. When you were coaching against us last season, what on your scouting report made you nervous about playing us? And then how do you plan on using that now to your advantage?
Great question. I'll tell you a lot made me nervous playing Langston last year. I think, they had such an incredible identity of defense. Like I think that they were the best defense in the nation last year. Langston was. So, and Coach Wright played complementary basketball, so they would, always get their half-court defense set, which they were really hard to score on in half court, and then they would play a slower pace on offense so that they were dictating the pace of the game. So we couldn't, it was harder to get out and run, which we like doing. So it's like basically we're going against their set half-court defense every time, which is really difficult. But from a scout's perspective, you're right. In fact, when I'm kind of re-recruiting some of these Langston guys to hopefully convince them to stay, I'm telling them, hey, I've watched about 15 to 20 of your full games. I've watched almost your whole season. I know y'all strengths and weaknesses individually and as a whole. So I think the defense, was absolutely elite. The defense and rebounding. So that's something that I hope to continue, and obviously retaining John Warren and Demetrius Walker on staff. I'm going to rely on them to help me kind of install some of those principles. Obviously, Coach Warren's been around Coach Wright for a long time now and has picked up on a lot of important things. So that's, I think that was the Langston MO, is we're going to guard you. You're not going to get anything easy on us. We're going to rebound. So I think that's the thing that stood out to me the most. And, I think, hopefully I can keep things flowing on the defensive end. And, I think just with my preferences on offense, I think we are going to try to speed some things up a little bit as long as we can do it responsibly. But no, from a scout's perspective, this was one of the most difficult teams we played against all year. And you saw, the proofs in the pudding when they made it to the national championship game. So a lot of good things. And again, that's another one of the many, many reasons why this job was so appealing was, I know how tough and gritty and unselfish the players were coming into the situation. And I thought, my guys were tough, gritty, and unselfish as well at OCU. So I think if we can blend them, which, I think they've started to do, it's going to be something really special potentially.
Can I ask you to add about your scouting report? This really emphasizes the importance of having fans show up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about the section that also became a part of your scouting report?
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Great point. So what is his name?
Naeem.
So, and my OCU players can attest to this. So, we're pretty thorough with our scouting reports. We really do deep dives, and I like to think that, we're really prepared. We know every player's tendencies, what they want to do, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. But when it comes to playing Langston, and this is the only school I've ever had to do this for, I had to prepare my guys for the fans. And in particular, he said Naeem.
And Terrence.
Yep, Naeem and Terrence, yep. So, Langston, obviously the crowd is sensational, and, there's the band, and it's so loud, and people are so into it. But we had a couple of guys that were standing up with clipboards and a full suit and tie, calling our guys' names out, distracting. It's a legitimate home court advantage, and it would travel as well. So, it's just special. It's unique. I've never had a situation like that. But we would show film of the fans. I'd say, look, he's standing almost on the court. You can't let it get in your head. It's a great home court environment. It's a loud home court, but you just got to focus on the task at hand, focus on the game. So, it's a great addition right there. The scouting went, obviously on the court, but in a situation like Langston where there's just such incredible sport, it went beyond that as well.
Coach, what excites you about the high expectations for Langston basketball?
I mean, like, you know, at the end of the day, I have high expectations for myself and my program. And, you know, AD and president and warned me, you know, hey, we got some really high expectations. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, different jobs come with different external pressures. But in my situation, you know, I put a lot of internal pressure on myself. So anything external, that's just, you know, that's just icing on the cake. I got a lot that, you know, I put pressure on myself to win. And I think that's why, you know, we've won at a pretty high level the last couple of years because, you know, no one's going to outwork me. No one will outwork me. I'm going to watch more film. I'm going to watch more clinics. I'm going to talk to more coaches. I'm going to scout more. So, you know, there is a lot of external pressure, which to me is a beautiful thing. I think, you know, I'm in a situation where I'm blessed with a lot to be expected. And I, you know, that's something I welcome, something I ain't shying away from it. I'm a competitor. I'm not scared of anyone or anything. And, you know, pressure comes with the job. Okay. And again, I'd rather be at a place that expects to win than expects to lose. So this is a situation where they expect to win at the highest level. And I'm going to pour everything I have into doing that, into making us meet those expectations and hopefully exceed them.
Besides the Langston family and like culture that we have, what was your biggest motivator for the job?
So I think you're right. The family and the community was the number one deal. I just think at the end of the day, you know, wins and losses are incredibly important, but having a family, helping, you know, change young men's lives for the better and their families' lives for the better, that was the number one thing. I think probably, you know, a lot of different things, but I think the number two thing was probably, like, I think you could win a national championship here. And as Coach Wright has shown, like, you can get right in that number. And, you know, I think this is a place where you can win at a very high level. And again, part of that's because of the community and the support, but part of it is from the internal investment here. You know, just, you know, the structure, the way things are set up. You know, it's a situation where this is a place where if you pour your heart into it and you recruit well and you establish a culture well, this is a place you can win at the highest level. And, you know, at the end of the day, my priorities are, number one is community and helping improve young men's lives and their families' lives. And then after that, hey, I want to win. I want to win. I'm a basketball coach. I'm a competitor. And I think you can do that at the highest level here.
Every program has a distinct DNA. From across the court, what did this program's DNA look like to you, and how do you want to evolve it?
Yeah, I think you're right. Every program does have a very distinct DNA. I think this Langston DNA is the most distinct. You know, again, credit to Coach Wright and his staff for establishing that DNA. But the grittiness and toughness, like I've never seen a team play as gritty and tough as the guys did last year. I mean, just they're going to make you work for every single possession. They're not taking a single possession off. And that's just, you know, that's rare. You know, there are a lot of really talented players in college basketball. But to me, again, the separator is not so much the talent, you know, which Langston has a lot of talent, but just the discipline, the toughness, and the fight that their players had. That is unique. And that is something that I value to the absolute highest extent. So it's something where I'm, you know, it's unique, and I'm hoping that we can keep that going because, again, that's those same values that this program has are the things that I have as well. And I envision us continuing that. And you know, it's a good question. And by far the most distinct thing is just the grittiness and toughness and fight of this program.
If someone walked in the game 10 minutes late without seeing the scoreboard, how would they know that this is a Sam Kohnke's team?
Oh, wow. Good question. You know, hopefully, I would hope that you would have guys, you know, you walk in 10 minutes late, you don't look at the scoreboard, and you just see guys guarding full court, turning their man, okay, just giving everything on defense. And then a shot goes up, and you see box outs everywhere, guys pursuing rebounds with two hands. And then, you know, I think getting out in transition, playing fast, and when we don't score in transition, just playing smart, simple, advantage basketball in the half court. And then hopefully beyond that, every time we get a stop or every time we score a bucket, our bench is up. Every time there's a dead ball, the five on the court are huddled up. Just things that I think don't show up in the stat sheet but are really indicative of wins and losses are the culture pieces, just the support. You know, obviously, and I've talked a lot about the fan support and community support, But within our team, like we got to be, I don't care if you're play the 15th most minutes or the most minutes. Like we're all a team. We're all equals here, and we all have one common goal. So I think, just having, I would hope that when someone walks in and they see a team that's huddled up, a team that during our timeouts are huddled up, teams that when we dive on the floor for loose ball, we got guys sprinting over to help them up. Just those things that, again, aren't necessarily quantifiable. I hope that those things that we exude that and we exemplify that.
Success is measured differently in year one, versus somebody here that's 5 or 6 years. Aside from the win and loss record, what does a successful season look like to you in terms of establishing the ground floor of this team?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not shying away from any expectations. I want to go win it all, and I think we can do that. Obviously, it's easy to sit here and just talk about it. Anyone could talk about it, but I think the way to do that is not through talking about it. I think it's just through every single day, every single practice, every single rep within practice, just giving it your all. Just giving it your all, being coachable, laying it all out there, just being the best you could be every single day. There's a quote that I like that, everyone knows the quote, Rome was not built in a day, which is a true quote, but I think there's a second part to that quote that gets left out a lot, and it's Rome was not built in a day, but they laid bricks every day. So it's just, it's going to take time, especially, look, meshing kind of two teams together. It's kind of a unique thing. It's two different styles, two different, guys who have experienced different, styles of coaching. So I anticipate winning at an incredibly high level in year one. And I think the sky's the limit. I think we can win a national championship in year one. But again, we're not going to get there through talking about it. We're going to get there through the work, through just being in the moment and just every day, just working towards that goal, just being where our feet are, and just taking steps forward.
And speaking of laying bricks, this is for Madam President. As having a mission to propel the university forward, how would you like for the basketball team to lay the bricks in, if we're speaking in the Rome terms, to propel the university forward?
So what we know for sure is that for any university, the athletic programs, the music programs, all of these programs are central to the institution as a whole. And very often, people are introduced to a university through athletics in this instance. And so for me, the work that we do every day, we think about two particular groups. Number one, the students that we're serving. Number two, the alumni who have been a part of this university for years and years. And our efforts are to make them proud. And that is particularly true of all of the former athletes who, regardless of what the record showed in the year, showed up every day for practice, showed up for every game to be representatives of this university. And so I think that's the foundation that we're building on, that we're doing right by the students that we serve, that we're making the alumni who chose to be here during whatever era proud. And if we do those things right, it will present a great presentation to future students and their families.
I just have a couple more, then I'm going to be out your way. Coach Kohnke, you've been a visitor on this side of the arena. How much did the home crowd, the band, and the cheerleaders affect the atmosphere? And how excited are you that you get to use that energy, for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's been a huge, selling point for me and a huge reason. I think it's a microcosm of, again, the overall entire campus and community support. But those basketball games, I mean, so I said this last night at the meet and greet, but I have an assistant who's here, Mikey Malone, who was a 4-year student assistant at University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, and then was a GA. So for 5 years, he's with the Division I program, going to every road game, every home game. And when we played here last year, OCU at Langston, we lost a close one. It was a good battle. And Mikey comes up to me after this game and says, "Coach, that's the loudest gym I've ever been in my life." And and I said, "Yeah, I think I agree." So it is. I mean, that's a weapon right there. That's a huge advantage, and hopefully being able to host the national tournament, the opening 2 rounds, that really helps your chances of surviving and advancing. So no, that's a huge selling point. But again, that's just to me a microcosm of just the overall support that comes at Langston University.
AD, is the basketball schedule already out for next season?
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have everything. I think it'll be close for us to have it maybe early June.
Okay, and last one, Coach. Since the schedule isn't out, is that you're going to circle that date on your calendar when you play, your former team?
Every game's important. Every game's important, especially conference games. And look, I got nothing but love for the people at OCU. A lot of really good people. So, no hard feelings at all. Again, a lot of great memories, great experiences. So, our goal is to win every game regardless of who we're playing against. So OCU will be one of them, but so will all the other teams in our conference.
Everyone has a mentor in your sponsorship. Who do you reach out to, and who do you identify as a speaker for you in that interview?
Great question. So, I'm very family oriented. So my dad has been there, huge, my dad and my mom my whole life. And then I have an older brother, older sister who are just huge in my life as well. From a coaching perspective, I'm kind of in a unique situation. I was not an assistant coach for very long. I wanted to be a head coach pretty quickly. So I was an assistant coach for 3 years. And then I became a head coach. I've been a head coach the last 5 years. But Jimmy Smith, who I played for and then got my first college coaching job for, he's the associate head coach at Stephen F. Austin now. But he's a guy I rely on a lot. Stacey Hollowell, who is a head coach at the University of New Orleans now. I played for him. We go way back to when I was in middle school. So he's a guy I rely on. And then there are a lot of certain coaches. I really love studying successful programs. There's a coach who's now the coach at the University of Iowa, Ben McCollum, who I've studied a lot. I've watched a lot of his film. I went and worked their camp last summer and spent a week up there and got to sit in on practices and workouts. So he's a guy that I study. But really, I'd say my family is kind of my rock. When everything's good or bad, they're always there for me and they're always supporting me. And then from a basketball perspective, a lot of incredible people I've worked for and worked with, and then a lot of people that I haven't necessarily worked for, but I've been able to really get an in-depth look at how they run their program, how they succeed, and have some good conversations with them as well.
Coach, I could ask you about philosophy, offense, defense, but I don't want to give anything away for our opponents. Would you rather be up 5-1 and the opponent has the basketball, or would you rather be down 5-1 and your team has the basketball?
Good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question. I like that. I'd rather be up and on defense, because again, I think we're going to hang our hat on defense. And obviously having the leads is a good place to be. So, but I'd rather be up and relying on our guys to get stops, because I think we're going to be getting a lot of stops. So I think that'd set us up to win.
We talked a lot about on-court philosophies, things that we believe in. What will people say about the young man that comes through Coach Kohnke's program at Langston?
Wow, good question. I hope that they say that they're, just upstanding, polite, respectful young men who work hard, who understand that it's bigger than themselves, understand that, hey, we're, not just part of a team, but part of a community. So just making it so that, that they give to the greater good, and give things up and make sacrifices for the greater good. But no, that's, when it comes to recruiting, and we talked about it at the meet and greet last night as well, but, just getting stand up, just high level people is of the absolute utmost importance. And, I just want people to, when they're talking to our guys, when they're seeing our guys around campus, that our guys will go be polite and introduce themselves and have a big smile on their face and just show the love. Because again, we, as the men's basketball program at Langston, we receive a lot of love. So it's like, hey, it's a two-way street, give it back as well. So, I think just having good young men who want to do right, and understand that's bigger than themselves, that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I think that most people would say about my players.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you all.